for me, democracy is a system of values. So that's why we need a legal system to protect it, because democracy cannot taken for granted. For example, since 2009, we already have a relatively stable regulations on women quota for legislative elections. Who knows that now we are not talking about the implementation, but still talking about how to protect the norms to keep exist on the law and on practice. Because the norms that already stipulated on the law since election 2009 now facing threats, yeah, from not from the public but from the election organizers, from the political parties. The election organizers try to decrease the meaning of woman quota or affirmative actions by introducing the clause in KPU regulations that have a lower meaning on the woman quota. So so let me share with you that in May 2023, KPU introduced KPU regulations. In their regulation, it will have impact to the nomination of women in the candidate list. In last election, all political parties must have minimum 30% of women candidate on their list in each electorate, in each district or electoral district. But with this KPU regulation, political parties don't need to fulfill minimum 30% of a woman candidate, because they introducing what they said as a math rounding formula. So it's when the decimal, when the 30% resulted a decimal less than 0.50, it will dibulatkan ke bawah. What is it? Yeah, run down. So for example, it's a concrete example, yeah. When there are 4 candidates, 30% of the 4 candidates, it means 1.2. Because it is 1.2, KPU said that you don't need to provide 2 candidates. By having only 1 candidate, you already fulfill the minimum 30% of women candidate on the list. But in fact, 1 from 4 is only 25%. It is not minimum 30%. In last 2 elections, when you have 1.2 from 4 candidates, you have to round up, to become among 4 candidates, political parties must submit minimum 2 women candidates, because it is minimum 30%. Minimum 30%, it means in bahasa Indonesia, lebih boleh kurang dilarang. You can submit more but cannot less than 30%. It's the definition. I think it is a global definition. This is for the first time KPU introduced a new concept of math rounding that will create more than 8,000 women candidates affected by this formula. Because by using this formula in electorates with 4, 7, 8, and 11 candidates, political party can submit list that provide less than 30% of candidates. With 18 political parties, if all the political parties follow the KPU regulation, we counted that more than 8,000 female candidates affected by this formula. So that's why, and then we go to Supreme Court. We were doing judicial review and we won the case. We won the case, and then the Supreme Court decided that KPU must revise the formula back to the old formula. that you have to round up the decimals, yeah. When it finds decimals, that in all electorates in Indonesia, the women candidates must fulfill minimum 30%. It means, like I said before, when we have 4 candidates and then 30% from 4 candidates resulted 1.2, you have to round up it to 2. It means you have to provide 2 women candidates among 4 candidates, minimum. Affirmative actions or women quota in 2009 elections, we will stop talking about the quota. We will improve our election talking about to increase the numbers of elected candidates, not only for women but also for person with disability, and also having more women as election organizers, having more disabled person with disability as election organizers. So we improve our discussion, more substantive compared to discuss about the woman quota or quota and so on and so on. But the reality is democracy cannot taken for granted. Even the challenge, the threats come from democratic institution, call it election commission. That's why in my work, I believe that as election activists, as NGO activists, I have to do and promote 2 things. Because I have a legal background, first, I have to do the legal activism. Legal activism because in Indonesia, everyone consider to refer to law, refer to regulations. When we demand for something, innovative or progressive approach, the stakeholders always said that there is no rules about that. There is no norm about that. So that's why I think I need to push myself to do the legal activism. That's why I actively involved in advocacy, promoting more democratic law, more democratic regulation, and also defending democratic norms that violates by the kekuasaan, ya, the power. Because in Indonesia we don't have problem with voter turnout. The voter turnout already reached more than 81%. But we have problem with the substance. We have more than 11.12% of the votes invalid. Because they don't understand how to cast the votes with valid mechanism. Because we implement the most complex election system in the world. And the second one is Indonesia is the 3rd country in Asia with the most the most vote buying cases after Thailand and Philippines. So what democracy means when we have those kind of cases? So that's why I think by having social activism, by having more network with young people with disability, and also with indigenous groups, that's the majority voters of Indonesia, we can make democracy more meaningful. In 2024, the young voters, you already noticed, more than 56%. But we don't have any concrete information from the candidates, from the political parties, what they will do with the young voters, what they will do with the minority groups, and so on and so on.
First, you mentioned about the institutional level solution where we have to make a reform in election commission. That's about the system. But now, what about the conduct within those political parties? Now, we say that we have quota, we have the norms set, we have the regulations, it's there, but we heard the conduct within the political parties themselves are also a problem, where they are not democratic within themselves, for instance. Even though they have the quota there, the conduct within the system, how do we get to that? And they're formulating a joint statement, and it's definitely a value to bring up about that. That's first. And also related to that, on how to make sure that the capable people, the genuine people, also the youth are mostly sidetracked within the party, for them to have more space and we shouldn't say power, but now we're sidetracked and the power. That's what first question. And second, you touch upon the indigenous people as well, the minority. What's your observation on the making of policies, the making of regulations, especially about things that impact directly the indigenous people in the rural areas or in the region? Sometimes we talk about, okay, there is a mechanism of hearing from the people, but what about the engaging them directly? That's a different thing, to have the mechanism there and engaging them as they're impacted and they need to be part of the people who talk about what this regulation is best made, how it is best made. That's two questions that I'd like you to answer before we go to Tom and then Q&A.
I believe that we have to work from two sides, from the regulation, the institution, and also from the behavior of the people inside political party. So I work to promote new, advocacy issues to increase the public funding to finance political party. Because based on my experience working with political party more than 20 years, one of the root of the problem in political party is political cost or the high political cost. The scenario is not the scenario. The situation is like this. Political party needs a lot of money. Lot of money. Even to build political party in Indonesia, based on Marcin Waleczki's statement, research, we need more than 10 to 15 million US dollar to establish a political party in Indonesia, because it required not only permanent office, but also members, big members. So that's why money is an issue. Come to finance political party. But and then not only finance the political party, they occupied the elite structure of political party. When they are, handle the structure, the elite structure as chairman, chairwoman, secretary general, and then they have the authority to decide it, the recruitment of political position on elections. They decided who come be the candidates for presidential election, legislative election, regional heads elections. It's all in their hands. They have money, they have the power because they part of the elite structure in political party, and they have the authority to decide who can run, who can contest. So money is the issue. But the problem is, we really have weak transparency and accountability on money. The campaign finance regulation doesn't work. Political finance regulation so weak. So that's why this is not a panacea ya, bukan panadol yang menyembuhkan semuanya. But I believe that at least we have to try this formula to increase the public funding, state budget to finance political party in a significant way. Like in German, you have 30% to finance your political party. But in Indonesia, the public funding or state budget to finance political party less than 1%. So by having those schema, I hope that the investor not occupied the political party. The promising candidates, the potential candidates, and then can believe himself or herself that party can promote her or him to contest in elections. And the second one is I work closely with the cadre or members of political party. I'm expert team of Women Political Caucus Perempuan Politik Indonesia. I feel like I have responsibility to work along with them to struggle in Indonesian politics and election. By working closely with the Women Political Caucus, Youth Political Caucus, I try to have the same, atmosphere with them on democracy values. AMAN, as Aliansi Masyarakat Adat Nusantara, I think have a, shifting approach, yeah. They start to involve in practical politics by promoting more their cadres, members, to be election organizers, to be candidates. So because when I discuss with them, it's all about policy making. When you don't have someone who really understand about the minority groups' rights in the policy making process, you cannot do significant.
Well, a higher dynamic in economics, more progressive laws, and lower corruption levels. These are all benefits that we see when the youth is involved in politics. Where we discuss between different countries, that's not to underestimate, also for the value of democracy, to exchange, to just create long-lasting bonds.
I think I agree, yeah. Especially when there's a I don't really like to use the generation gap, yeah. But I'm a part of the reformasi, gerakan reformasi. I graduated from high school in 1997 when the crisis moneter, dollar from 2,000 become 15,000. And then I taking part in demonstration. I have a direct experiences with Suharto and its regime. My first vote in election in 1997 elections. So I can make a difference between during the Suharto era and reform era. But like my son, he will be 17 soon, but he has no experience with that. What we can learn from Philippines, yeah, I agree with you that talking about democracy not only about Indonesia, but we have to know the international perspective and global perspective and regional perspective. We have to strengthen each other. We have to be friends each other and learn from each other. I learned from the Philippine elections that the old regime can come back successfully with the narrative from social media. So that's why I think the challenge is how to, to make no barrier between, yeah, with the historical approach, yeah, so they can know the the roadmap of this country, what we have been through with all the lesson from the old regimes and the next challenge that will they face as the young generations. Yeah. So I agree with you. And also about the anti-corruptions. Yeah. When you see the the conceptual framework of democracy from International IDEA, Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, you will see that from 5 elements, representative governments and so on, and then we have impartial administration as one of the elements that consists of predictable enforcement and absence of corruptions. For absence of corruption elements, the color is red. And it's one of the biggest challenge of democracy in Indonesia. When you have elections, your voters must be free from intimidations, but not only physical intimidations or verbal but including hoax and money intimidations. But in Indonesia, money is big deal, big problems. And but talking about genuine votes, how can we have genuine votes while we have money politics or vote buying as our biggest problems? Political corruption is not the mother, yeah. The main factors of this nation corruptions. So if really want to have democracy, we have to make sure that we can handle that issues. Yeah. There's no free market. This is election that will be selected by election commission at the national level. We are expecting that election commission at national level, they understand about the women's rights, about the equality, equity, how to provide affirmative action to have more women in election organizers. But then they didn't choose female candidates. They have the authority to choose, to select, but they didn't do that. That's why on that side, I think on the women's right, we are facing decline of commitment of our democratic institutions. State auxiliary organ that we are expecting become the promoter of democracy, but because so many state auxiliary organ or independent organ, state organ that created during the reformasi, that will balance the check and balance mechanism. Yeah, in fact, yeah, as you seen, yeah, that this election with more regression, the most regression of female candidates in election organizers, both KPU and Bawaslu. It's a red alarm because election organizers are not people with no knowledge on elections, with no knowledge on democracy, but and then it happened. Yeah, it's your internal correction because you are working with Bawaslu. How we ensure that the increase of public budget will reform the political party, that they will also take, the increasing of state budget will be in one package with transparency and accountability. Ya kan gitu ya. So by having the budget, we hope they will manage the budget with transparent, open and accountable. But how if they only take the scenario of increasing the budget, but not with the transparency and the accountability? Apakah mungkin? Yes, that possible. But at least we try. I mean, we have all the scenario, yeah. We don't have this yet on the table, but let's have this first, and then we can say it precisely. With this disruption of technology, I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, but sometimes we need viral to get justice. We need cancel culture more from the young people. Yeah, and also about the inclusivity, yeah, by having the real practice within our society. For example, I learned about the inclusiveness by practice because I have 2 students, blind students with me. So smart, and it creates inclusive environment among them. Because in my campus, and then we have to provide lift, we have to provide ramp, yeah, because we have direct interactions, yeah, with them. So bringing them into our society, bringing them into our organizations, bring them into our peer group. That's the way we change the paradigm. By having more disability in political party, young voters, women and so on and so on. Maybe it will faster, yeah, the process, yeah. I don't know, but at least I learned from direct interactions, direct involvement of the minority in my community and society.